Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen,
And I'm John Johnson.
and you're listening to
Planes, Trains, and Comic Books.
the podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, both classic and new comics we want to read, and everything else in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Planes, Trains, and Comic Books. Today, we are reading a manga. The manga called Chainsaw Man. Now, what was your experience? Did you have any experience about this before? I remember a long time ago when we were talking about manga, you must have seen a picture of this cover, and you were like, we should read that. Yeah, you were like, hey, we should read this. It looks cool. I think it was like around Halloween you said that.
I think so, probably. Yeah, and I stand by. That's a cool cover. Like, that looks crazy and wild. Like, this guy's got like a chainsaw face head and like chainsaw blades coming out of his arms or attached to his arms, something.
Yeah.
Like, sure, why not? Like, that looks crazy.
Sure.
There's like green blood everywhere.
Yeah. And I was like, I've never heard, or I think I'd heard of it, but I'm like, oh, I don't know what that is. Yeah, we could check it out. And then you blew my mind this morning when we were talking before this, that this is the same writer as Fire Punch. I didn't realize that. I had picked both of these randomly as like two books that I'm going to read and try out. And then I read them and was like, wow, these are ridiculous. And like Fire Punch is fucking crazy and extreme and edgelord or whatever.
Yeah.
And this is like ridiculous on a different level, but we'll talk about it. But like, yeah, like you blew my mind when you're like, when the same author. I'm like, wait, what? Like, same author?
Yeah, so he wrote this after Fire Punch.
Yeah.
And before we even go into this, I'm gonna say what I looked up afterward. This is an award-winning comic. This comic has sold over, this manga has sold over, is it 12? Yeah, 12 million copies.
Ridiculous.
It's got it finished, but he's doing like a follow-up now to it apparently.
Oh, it's done?
The main line is finished,
okay.
But now he's doing one where he's like, it's like there's school stuff or something.
Okay.
But yeah.
I mean, that is the most mind-blowing thing I've ever heard for the... I mean, and also, I will say this, whenever we kind of make fun of or bash on something, we're not really like, we don't hate that. You can like whatever you want.
Yeah.
This is our opinion. I, in fact, enjoy it when people buy whatever they like, whether I like it or not. So... our opinions are our own. Just because you like it and we don't doesn't mean, or our opinions. I won't say I didn't like it necessarily. I have critiques of it, and that doesn't mean that you can't like it too.
No,
so.
And this is one of those things that's like, just like, sometimes there's movies. It's like, wow, I can't believe I just watched that. I'm glad I watched it because that was like wild, and I've never seen anything like that. But I do not think I'll watch it again.
Yeah,
but you can still enjoy something even if it's not like something that you love.
Well, not only that, I mean, people might actually love this, and that's cool. Like, you like whatever you like, support it, buy it.
Exactly.
Not everybody's gonna like it as much as you or at all. So like, not that I didn't like it at all, but like, yeah, there's definitely like, what is going on with this? So, much like I'll say this, Fire Punch was much more hard to read and get through for me than this. This was kind of like a popcorn film, whereas the other one was more like Cannibal Holocaust, where I was like, when are we going to get to like a story that makes sense, that I care about it all or whatever? This was perfectly followable. But it was like watching Fast and the Furious or something, where it's just kind of like...
very much so.
I don't really care about any of this. I can read it and watch it, and it moves and everything. I don't particularly give a fuck about anything going on. So, yeah, let's just get into it. This is Volume 1 of Chainsaw Man. The story and the art is by Tatsuki Fujimoto, who, like we said, wrote Fire Punch as well, and drew it. This is... yeah. I mean, I think mangakas have, like, a studio with helper artists that draw, like, backgrounds or whatever, or, like, the not cool stuff or the not fun stuff to draw. So, like, it's going to be him and friends or whatever. Like, him and studio drawing it, I'm assuming. But, yeah, so... we start off, and this has like a very I'll say, like, I felt like this was Pokemon kind of at first.
I thought, yeah. I thought it was going to be something like that too.
It's got that feel. Like the first, the chapter is called a Dog and Chainsaw. So like that's like what we're going into. There's 7 chapters total in this book, and we start off with, we just get thrown into this thing. We just start off. There's a kid, and we find out that he is trying to get money, and that he's got a shit ton of debt somehow. We don't know how. At first, at least, but he's been trying to work it off, and by trying to work it off, originally, I guess he was selling organs, which, I mean, we're starting off just like Fire Punch, kind of, where it's like, eat my arm or whatever. You know, like this is like, I am a child, and I've I
sold a kidney, sold my eyeball. Yeah,
all this stuff, right? And then my debt, you know, he's telling like, oh, I got 1,200,000 yen for this, and like only 300,000 yen for my eye, and only 38,040,000 to go or whatever. And it's like, wow, that's a lot of debt you have. How did you work that up? And we find out later why. But then we see this kid has what looks like a weird Pokemon, right? But we find out they're demons in this world. And
Pokemon are pocket demons.
That's true.
That's true.
That's very true. So yeah, this seemed, at first when I was reading this, because I read it again for this podcast, so I was like, maybe I'll like it the second time, and that was not true. But I did kind of get like this is kind of like a riff on Pokemon, like a bit, you know, like it's like he's Ash, and this is like a fucked up Ash, right?
Yeah.
And then like why is he on this journey? And then he fights demons with his demon or whatever. So he's got a demon named Pochita, which I was like, it's the Pikachu of, you know. Yeah. But Pochita is a chainsaw demon. It looks like a dog that has a chainsaw in it. Yeah. And the saw blade is coming out of his face.
Saw would be like his nose coming out.
Yes.
His ears are like the handle.
The handle, and his tail is the pull.
The pull cord, yeah.
The pull, yeah, the start. And I mean, he has like the little handle on the back of his ass or whatever. So.
And compared to the rest of the art, which looks like, you know, very traditional kind of like, just, you know, manga characters. The dog Pochita, the dog chainsaw thing Pochita, is very cartoony. It looks like you said, like a Pokemon.
Yes, and then like he's like, all right, well, I guess we got to kill something, you know, to pay off our debts. You're like, what are they gonna kill? The next page, the second page of this is like, we got to kill a demon. And then they show like this weird eye demon that's like, I mean, I will say a lot of the demons are pretty creative in this, the way, like, whatever he came up with. So I'll give him that. Yeah. Like, for character design.
All the creatures in this are very cool and creepy.
Yes. Not quite Junji Ito creepy, but, you know, like...
but still...
Fun design.
This is a tomato demon with, like, all these big bulging eyes, and, like, it's walking on a bunch of hands that come out of it. It
seems like it's a tomato demon that has absorbed a bunch of humans or something. Yeah. Like because it's walking on human hands that are, like, as long as legs, or, like, the arms are as long as legs, and they're coming out from underneath it. So it kind of looks like an octopus or something, but, like, with a tomato head that has a bunch of eyes and a mouth on it. Like a sideways mouth, which is weird. So, yeah, it's just like, you know, okay, we're just thrown into this world of, okay, this is demons. There's this kid who's got a lot of debt. He's got a fucking chainsaw dog demon that he also kills demons with. And so he literally picks up his Pochita dog and starts it. And it's like, you know, like, I always wonder, like, what does it sound like? You know, like, it says broom, but like is the dog like,
it's making the sounds of the chainsaw.
Yeah. And then you just cut to, he's already killed it, and some guy's like, oh, hey, thanks for killing it. And he's like, it was a tomato devil, sir. Make sure you burn it, because the seeds will come back or whatever and be demons still. So the person he's talking to is actually like a Yakuza mob boss that he works for and is paying this debt off. And we find out that the debt is actually from his dad. Apparently his dad was a horrible gambler or something. I don't know. Or borrowed a shit ton of money. I don't know if they explain that later, like where did the debt come from? But it doesn't really it doesn't continue enough through the story, I think, to bring it up again later on. So maybe it does, but I don't know. Hey, any long chainsaw readers, let me know in the comments, or whatever, or email us.
What was the debt from?
Yeah, or if they say it, or if it comes up again. But so basically, after he gets paid like a bunch of money for killing this thing, it was 400,000 yen. But then the Yakuza guy's like, well, minus our fee, minus the chainsaw rental, like all this shit he's like talking about. He doesn't rent the chainsaw, but like, you know what I mean? Like, just, there's this administration processing fee. It's like, you're the Yakuza. What are you talking about? Yeah. Like, by the end of all that, he only gets the kid to eat with and everything 1,800 yen. And I don't know if you know, like 1,800 yen is literally like $18 basically. So it's like, what? Like, how does, or maybe it's $180? I can't remember what the currency.
It's pretty,
It's something like 100 to 1 or 1,000. I think it's 100 to 1. So it's $180 he got, I think, for killing this demon, and that's all he has to live on for like the month or whatever. So
he gets a single slice of bread for his meal for the day.
Come on, Pochita, let's go get our single bread slice for food. And so that's like, we find out that's basically, he's been working for this guy for a while, trying to pay off his dad's debt, and it's the only way he'll do it. We even see how much he'll do, what he'll do for money is the driver of the Yakuza guy is like, eat the cigarette for 100 yen. He's like, I'll do it. And he like shoves it in his mouth, and he's like, loser. And then he just drives away and doesn't give him the money. So like he'll do, and he's so like starved and wanting to pay off his debt and just eat in general that he'll even eat a cigarette. So he goes back to his house with Pochita, and they live in a little.
That makes me think of like a Jason shack.
Yeah, Jason is a little bit nicer than a Jason shack.
Nicer, you're right.
Yeah. It's got a slant roof and everything. It'd be like if you were gonna own a chunk of land and you just wanted like an off the grid cabin for yourself. There's an off the grid cabin.
There you go. Yeah, it's like a mini little.
This is a future Matt house. When I become the next Unabomber, that's what's gonna happen.
Wow.
I mean, in spirit, not of course in actuality.
Yes.
Just
living off the grid, living on your
off the grid is the part of that I meant, not the bomb sending. But yeah. So he's eating this chunk of bread with this dog, this chainsaw demon dog, and he's just like, I hear that some people eat jam with their bread. Like, I can't wait to have something like that. And like, most of all, he's talking about his dreams with the dog, right? So he's like, I would just love to like talk to a girl and hang out with a girl and dreaming about girls, basically.
I just want to hug a girl before I die.
Yeah, it's just, that's his main motivation is not starving, getting jam on some bread, and having a girl pay any kind of attention to him whatsoever. So he's basically just a red-blooded straight teen or whatever, or straight male teen.
Yeah.
He's all he cares about is ladies, and that's one of the following arcs in this is he really, really just wants attention from the ladies.
And I guess you could call it arc.
Well, I'll say motivation. That's what I mean. Like the way that he writes this character is like he just gives him little goals to like follow, and that's his only like drive. Yeah. So
and they're like right now, like he said he just wants to hug a girl before he dies. That is literally his like driving motivation. It's like,
that and the bread, the food and the bread and the paying off of the debt is like his only motivations at this beginning. There's no like real like. You don't really get like a character out of him. It's kind of like a person, like a archetype, just like young male archetype with 3 goals that are then followed up when they get achieved with 3 other goals, or more goals or whatever. Like, so there's not really like a lot of depth, we'll say, this character. You don't really get like a whole lot from him, but I don't know if you're supposed to, because like, this book is obviously humorous. Like we were saying, it's like, it feels like Pokemon. They just kind of throw you in the middle of it. Like, much as Fire Punch was, but I think Fire Punch was so like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That it kind of overshadowed the humorousness of it. And like, it was so edgy. Whereas this is kind of like, it's a little bit more immature, I guess, or not. They were both immature, but like, this just feels less edgy. So the immatureness is more sweet or like funny or whatever, then
Oh sure, I think in looking at this, I and like looking up more information afterwards, I felt like this would have been before Fire Punch because I felt like the writing on this one was a little more, and maybe again like you said that has to do with more of the character, but it felt very much more like kind of teenish, innocent, very like teehee writing.
yeah,
So like
for sure.
it definitely wasn't like.
Check this shit out.
It never got like throughout this entire thing. Like I think the only time any of the writing gets like intense is like maybe when like there's one or two of the like villainous creatures.
Yeah, the fight scenes or whatever.
But like everything else is like, man, I like bread and girls and like, oh gosh darn, I need to kill a demon and like that. Yeah. That's the extent of the writing for most of this.
Yeah.
So
and like I liked that in this like the bad guys seemed. Their motivation wasn't like I want you to fuck this dog like in Fire Punch. You know,
yes,
it was like it was like okay, I get like I feel like this guy's evil, but it makes sense. He's Yakuza, but it's not like some weird like up the ante level like Fire Punch was. I mean I don't maybe maybe we're stupid and we just haven't read enough manga. Maybe he was satirizing that type of manga like completely, like you know what I mean, like to the nth level. So like,
and we're just so new to this that
it's hard.
It was way over.
It's
our
hard
heads.
to know because like it's kind of like when if you read Justice League and you read the '80s stuff from DC, you're like, oh, it's like straight Justice League stuff, and then in the '90s there's extreme justice, and you're like, if you didn't know, you'd be like, or no, you read it and you're like, oh yeah, this is like garbage, extreme, like everybody's got like a mech suit and everything, but obviously that wasn't meant to be. But if someone like Garth Ennis was writing it, it would be like a parody of itself. Like he's on purpose doing these things to like comment on the state of comics at the time. Whereas like, I don't know this writer enough to know, or the context of manga at this time period to know, is there just a bunch of edgelord stuff coming out? And he's like, oh, you want edgelord stuff? Well, here's edgelord, and like kind of making fun of all that stuff. I don't think that's the case, but I might be wrong. And if that's the case, maybe this is the same kind of thing. Maybe there was like a bunch of like Pokemon style stuff coming out. Because I have noticed just from like the dipping my toe into manga, there is like definite trends of things that are coming out. Like there's a new trend, or at least a trend that's been going on for a little while now, of like waking up or getting transported to another world, and then you have some new job there thing. Or it's like I was a maid who then got transported to through a time warp and became a female knight or whatever, like you know what I mean, like it's just like that's the name of the manga.
Oh,
that whole thing, like literally all of them are like that, where it's like the world's best, America's best chef got transported through a time warp. They're all like became.
I have noticed like and shout out to one of our subscribers, Taco Mike, because he every time when he posts like new videos or new ones that are coming out, or like he'll show like someone who got a haul of stuff, and I'll watch part of it, and I'm like all of these, and like the it'll be like like you said, like it's like I was a knight once, and like that's like a whole series of like all different ones.
No. I was a knight once, but now I am a chef in America. And like they'll do the reverse time warp sometimes.
Yeah, I think there was one, because there's a lot of.
It's like the What If series from Marvel, where it's like, what if Conan was in the 70s or whatever? But like, it was modern day, but that was the 70s then. So it's got him with like a dirty hairy gun on the front, and you're like, what the fuck is this? But it's just one issue. Yeah, this is like an ongoing series that has multiple volumes.
The whole series.
Yeah.
And because there's a lot of there's mangas out there that are get a little more sexually explicit, and like I saw like some of the series on those would be like,
hell yeah, there is.
There like there was this is one in particular. You said it just the title is just that. It was like do you like big boobs or something?
No. I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
It was like, are you a fan of giant women or something like that? It was basically that. It was like, yeah.
And I was like, that was the title. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I saw that video too. Shout out to Otaku. I then immediately went on Google and typed, what is this manga? But yeah. So I gotta put it out there. The manga guys get some really good ideas.
Wow,
it's really solid stories. And if you can't see, I'm holding my hands out in front of my chest.
So like really wow,
like I'm coupling a couple manga books
Yeah, you're holding
I'm
two
holding large volumes of manga.
of manga.
Yes. So anyway, yeah. So like, this could be one of those trends that he's like commenting on, or it could be part of one of those trends. I don't know. So that's like what I went in kind of thinking this time, being a little bit more familiar with manga now from the last time when I first read this. And the same, that made me like kind of rethink maybe Fire Punch is that. But it could also just be, I wrote this book and I'm trying to be extreme and like I'm following that trend to the law. I'm not commenting on it or whatever. So, but anyway, we get the origin story of how this kid, and we should say this kid's name is Denji.
Yes.
The kid, the main character. His name's Denji. The dog, or the demon chainsaw dog's name is Pochita, like we said. And we get the origin story of how he found this dog. And basically, we find out that the kid's dad died when he was a little bit younger. The Yakuza guy is like, and you owe all the money to me. Like, he's at his dad's grave. Like, it's raining, of course. He's standing there. He's obviously a poor kid. He's got like a wife beater shirt on and or whatever those are called now. What are those called now? What's the PC version of that now?
I don't know. Yeah,
just
undershirt.
Sleeveless undershirt, we'll say. And he's standing there getting rained on, and he's got like dirt on his face or whatever. And like the Yakuza guy's like pulls up in a car right next to him on the grave site. So like he's literally parked
probably
over
on the
dad.
grave.
Yeah, on the grave. And he's like, by the way, kid, your dad owes me 700,000, or like for this week, your dad owed me 700,000 yen, and I expect you to continue paying it. So now the kid's like, I just want to die. I should just die because I can't pay that, and my dad's dead, and I'm sad. I just want to, kill myself or something. And or if I don't know if he wanted to kill himself, but he definitely was like, I'd be fine being dead, because he hears a behind a tree next to the grave, and this little chainsaw dog demon comes out, and this I thought this part was actually pretty cute. Where he's just like, and or, and he's like, it's one of those devils, and he's like, oh my god, if you're gonna kill me, get it over with. I want to die anyway. And the little dog falls over because apparently he's been shot a couple times, and the kid's like, oh, you're hurt, and he feels like empathy for it, and he's like, oh wait, I heard that if demons feed on you, it heals you or whatever if you're a human, or it heals them if you're a human. So, or like that, they get their power back. So he tells the dog, bite me, drink my blood, but this doesn't come for free. It's a contract. You'll have to help me with like paying debts and all that shit. Yeah. So that's what happened.
I save you, you save me.
Yeah, the dog fed on his blood, got healed, and now they're best buds forever, and now they hunt demons together. So then we cut back to him in the shanty shack or whatever, and he's talking about his dreams, which are like, I'll fall asleep in that girl's arms, and we'll play video games together, and we'll flirt and stuff,
and I'll spread jam on bread.
Yeah, I'll eat some jam bread, and then all of a sudden he gets a weird look on his face, and he just starts like puking blood. I was like, what? Some stuff that happens in this, I was like, maybe it's like lost in translation. But he basically like throws up blood. And the dog's like, arf, arf, or whatever. I was like, is it some weird thing? Because then he says like, oh, my mom had that heart condition where she was coughing up blood. So like, is that something that comes back later that they just like hinted at in the very beginning?
Maybe. He's really young to have a heart condition, but I mean, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, the Yakuza guy comes to his house and knocks on the door and is like, we have a demon we want you to kill. And this is another part I didn't quite understand. So the guy shows up at his house and says, I have a demon for you to kill. He takes him to like an abandoned place, like a big factory building that's abandoned, and he's walking him in there. He doesn't have anything attached to him at the moment. But then he's like, are you sure you want me to go in here, sir? It's in here? And the guy's like, yeah, of course it is. Like, can't you feel it? It's like evil in here or whatever. And you should be grateful, boy, and all this stuff. And then like all of a sudden the kid gets stabbed with the dog, and then it turns out that the Yakuza guy is part of this demon that is a zombie demon.
Yeah,
he like makes people zombies. I'm sorry, I was saying demon, I mean devil. They call them devils, whatever. So I was like, wait, okay, so like when I say he didn't have anything attached to him when they walked in there,
But now he does.
Now he has a thing attached to the back of his head, kind of like if you've seen Hellraiser 2. There's the when the Doctor Cenobite gets made, and he puts that fucking thing on the back of his head and then picks him up.
Yeah.
So he's like a puppet, kind of being hung by his head, the back of his head. It's like that. So I guess he was doing the demon's bidding before that, because they say that basically the Yakuza guy wanted power, and apparently he made a ill-fated deal with this devil, this zombie devil, to get some of his power. But then the devil was like, haha, you think you know I'm gonna let you use my power, but I'm actually using all of you. And then like he had like all the Yakuza guys under his with the tube in the back of their neck. So it was like, are all these people, were they walking of free accord, and then when they walked into this building, that's when they got stabbed?
Yeah,
or they don't show that. They don't show like a check, you know, like you would think they could just fit a panel in of, but it made it seem like he was attached the whole time, but it's like they didn't show that. So I don't know. But basically the Yakuza guy's like, I made a deal with the devil because I wanted to get stronger and make more money. And so like I said, they stabbed the kid, Denji and Pochita, through the chest, both of them. So they're pretty much going to die. And then we see the full unveil, and this is kind of what I think you were talking about, like the cool monster drawing, or like monster creation.
Yeah, all of the horror-esque creatures in this. The devils.
So like the zombie demon looks like a torso with a brain and a face coming out of the chest and all this crazy shit. And then like what would be like the stomach and the intestines are what is attached to the people that are now Yakuza zombies or whatever. So, and then the other thing is, so do they have to be attached, or are they is he able to make?
Maybe they're
zombies?
More powerful when they're attached, and they're just following his.
Because all these Yakuza guys that are in here are not attached and they're zombies, but then the ones that are attached are still zombies, but they're attached. I don't know. I didn't quite understand the like methodology behind this demon.
I don't even know the power structure here.
yeah, exactly. What I want a breakdown of everything going on. So, anyway, basically, this demon Yakuza guy is like, all right, you know, just kill this guy. So he sends all the zombies to kill him and Pochita, and Denji's running with Pochita, and he still gets cut up because they all have knives and they can chase him and everything. So they literally just cut him into pieces. Him and Pochita, they're like slash, yeah. And they throw him in a dumpster, and he's literally like a wrist, a leg, a foot. You know, like everything's disconnected in this dumpster. Even Pochita is cut in half. But maybe because devils like don't die the same way or whatever, Pochita's still alive.
Yeah, they can read.
And luckily for Pochita, the head of Denji is bleeding out of his mouth, and the blood leaks onto Pochita's face and goes into his mouth. And like we said, human blood regenerates them. So he gets like a flash of his human, and he's like, Pochita. And then we see like the little fun times they had together, and he's remembering back with Denji, like, oh man, this was a great master to have or whatever. So he's like, you know what? You saved me all those years ago. I'm going to save you. So Pochita gets, I guess, we find out that basically demons or devils can infuse themselves, as we kind of saw with the zombie demon, with people.
Yeah, they kind of take over their bodies.
Yes.
But like still have like the like.
Well, some of them want you to have the ability to talk and all that shit and have your memories, and others seem to just amalgamate you into themselves, like absorb you into themselves. So basically, when earlier we had a little flashback. We get a little flashback of them talking, like when the dog's remembering, like, oh, the good times, and the boy Denji is like, if I ever die, I want to give you my body. Like you can take it and you can possess me, and then you can like have a fun normal life or whatever. So that's what he does. The dog possesses his body, or becomes part of it, absorbs into it, and the kid is then formed together, and I think you were mentioning even this, possibly the reason why his heart...
Maybe he already had a weak heart, but it comes down to Pochita becomes his heart and like holds his whole body together.
Yeah, and like stitches his body together with like spirit bonds or something. I don't know. I'm going to call it that. Spirit bonds.
Spirit bonds.
So he like literally has like a thread of his demon spirit through all of his arms, and then it pulls it together, and then when they pull together, they kind of heal. But we find out later on. Actually, I don't know if you find out. I read volume 2 just to see if maybe I am wrong about how this goes. 'Cause sometimes with the first volumes, you can't, like, it's trying to go for a tone, and then the tone changes, or the story gets bigger or something, and it becomes better. So I read volume 2, and I think there's a scene where he gets his arm cut off. I can't remember if it's in this or that.
No, it's got to be in the next one.
So he gets his arm just falls off when he's weak. So it was like, oh, like when he's weak or when he's weakened, his body could still like fall apart.
Oh, interesting.
Where it was cut or whatever before. So that's interesting. But yeah, so he wakes up in the dumpster, and Pochita is now absorbed into him. And he's like, my wounds are gone. Pochita must have like become part of me, and where his heart is.
And Pochita, like, I guess basically is in his brain now, as far as like be able to talk to him. Like, no, I'm part of you now. And I did like this. I love that he has the pull cord in the middle of his chest now.
Yes. So sticking out of where his heart would be in the middle of his chest is the pull cord for the chainsaw, and he has to pull that to start it up. Like so. Which I thought was funny too. It's kind of like Ash, where he's got to like on his hand or whatever. So it's like, he's got to like pull it with his mouth sometimes to get. So he walks in to the zombie, mass that's happening still out, in the factory that he was behind in the dumpster, and the guy's like, "I can't believe you're still alive. What the fuck? Go kill him again."
We killed you. Yeah,
we killed you. And then he tells all the zombies to kill him again, and this is where we see he pulls his cord, and he becomes chainsawed out. So what we find out is now his new form as this devil, like half devil, half human, is he's got kind of like Wolverine. Some chainsaw blades come out of his arms, like through the middle of his hands, though, and they actually cut through his flesh.
Yeah.
So he's losing blood as he's doing this, and that's kind of like his power meter, I guess, for this is he's only as strong as how much blood he has inside of him. So the chainsaw's blades come out, and he starts cutting through all these zombies. In the meantime, his head also, much like the dog, gets a chainsaw out of the front of it, and then his face and mouth and everything become part of like the chainsaw engine, like motor cover and everything. Yeah. So like he gets
it looks like a metal mask kind of.
Yes, yeah. It's like if you put the chainsaw body over it, like the engine body over your face with the cover and everything.
Yeah.
Or over your entire head, I guess. And
and big sharp teeth.
Yeah, of course it opens up into a mouth as well, and there's big sharp teeth. So he goes through and he kills all these zombies and kills the master zombie as well, and he kills that devil. And then as he's like finishing up killing this thing, some government workers come in as he leaves and are like, someone's already beat us to the punch.
Bum, bum, bum.
Like, what? What the fuck is this? And then they look and they see him in the like covered in gore, and they're like, oh, he must be the one or whatever. And but the girl, there's like a girl here, and her name is Miss Makima, and she is like, you don't smell like a demon. So she's got some weird powers of being able to figure out who a demon is. But basically, this government organization is like some weird side. It's kind of like the X-Files where it's like you're a part of the FBI, but you're this side branch.
The Public Safety Devil Hunters.
There you go. That's what they're called.
Yeah.
Good job on you for writing that. But yeah, so she's part of this group, and she's actually headed up an even smaller division inside of that is trying to make a team of these like half-breed, demons or whatever, or devils, and make them part of a team that's working for them.
Task Force X.
Yeah, there you go. Task Force Z, Task Force X, any of those are good analogies to this. So this is a good point. This is the Suicide Squad, but in devils and shit or whatever. So then she looks at him, and he transforms back into a human, and they're like, "Oh my god, it's a human!" And then she goes to hug him as he's like about to pass out because he's lost a bunch of blood. Or she like goes to, I guess he's passing out, and she like hugs him, and then he becomes a human. So like, it's a weird thing. Like, why would you hug a chainsaw dude? But like, I guess he was passing out, so it's kind of like a carry him.
I guess, yeah.
Like stop him from falling, but also a hug. And he's so like mesmerized by the the hug.
Oh my God, a girl
of a
hugged
woman.
me. Finally.
Female touch. And I mean, I guess it tracks for like a 15-year-old kid or something.
Yeah.
You know, like just like if a girl touches me, I'm in love now. So basically, he's in love with her, and he's just like, we'll do anything now for her because she's a woman and he's horny or whatever. So like that's the main thing. But yeah, so she takes care of him and she
takes care of him, but there's a weird caveat because she's like, yeah, like he's like, he's back in human form. He's like, oh, don't feel good because of the blood stuff I lost. And he's like, oh, do you think I can get some food? And she's like, well, if you're my pet, I'll give you food. And it was like it's a real quick sharp turn.
There is a weird like dominating master pet thing going on with her. Like either she doesn't, even though they're like he's human, it's like obviously they're a lower human. Like they're devil humans, so they're lower.
And I'm sure this is something that we'll get more on because it's hard to tell if she is like she works for the government, but she actually likes him and is kind of like good with him, or if this is just a facade that she puts on because she's getting him for this team that she's creating. It's very like she was the only character that I felt like had a little depth to her, and like you really were like questioning like. What is she? Yeah,
what's her motivation?
What is her motivation?
Yeah, what's going on? Like, is she actually like a good guy or a bad guy? She's just working for the government, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
her character was more interesting. But like I said, they kind of are. They're doing like a Hellboy. Like he's joined the BPRD, or basically.
Yeah.
So like, she's like, oh, let me introduce you to the team. You're gonna be my pet, meaning you're gonna like help us out on this thing. And so while she's talking, he's just like. I'm in love. It's a pretty girl, and she treated me nice.
Dream.
Yeah,
like imagine like whatever she's saying, he is not listening to.
Fading out in the background as he's hearing this song, staring at her face, looking at her breast because he does that a lot too.
Yes,
he's like, I just want to touch boobs.
Yeah,
like,
now he's moved from I got a hug.
He got his hug.
Now I want to touch boobs.
And not only that, but she did feed him as well. So like. That she says like, oh, we'll feed you first or whatever. So they go to a diner on the way there, and they're gonna eat udon. I don't know enough about noodles apparently. So like, I know what udon is, but I thought all noodles were soggy because they're in water. But apparently they're like, you don't want your noodles to get soggy. I'm like, all right.
They can get more squishy.
Is this okay? Maybe.
There's like al dente noodles.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what I was gonna say. Is this like Italians with spaghetti? Because all spaghetti tastes the same to me. I've never had like spaghetti where it's like, oh, it's al dente.
Yeah, you gotta have. So your spaghetti's not supposed to be mush. You're supposed to have a little bit of bounce with your noodle.
I don't even know what the fuck you're talking. Those words don't make sense.
Let me tell you, man. as the Italian on this podcast,
hey, yeah. I'm a quarter Italian.
Well, you're not a real Italian if you don't.
Yeah, apparently not. No, I didn't grow up with Italian side.
Do you break your pasta noodles when you put them in?
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Like when you get spaghetti noodles and you
John, I know I just said I was Italian, but I'm going to give you my Italian card in a second because I don't like or eat pasta.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's right. I forgot about that.
I have never, I'm going to say I've eaten spaghetti.
I made spaghetti for you once. You liked it, didn't it?
Yes, but I'm saying once it's not something I'd go to. I think I've eaten it twice, including the one you just said, in the last 5 years.
Oh, you're definitely, give me your take. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Pasta's like a side dish in my house.
Okay, well, it's not in my house. None of this Italian crap in my house. Anyway, I'm just joking. I love Italians. But Linda Cardellini is a great Italian.
Yeah.
Or Monica Bellucci is a great Italian. I love Italians. Just depends on.
I love those Italians.
Yeah, Italians. Yeah. So while they're in this diner, they get approached by a man who comes out of the woods and is like, "Oh my God, a devil snatched my daughter," or snatched my daughter. And this is an interesting thing that happens because he approaches Miss Makima and says like, "Hey, he's telling her that my daughter was snatched." And this is where I was saying, like, I'm not sure what her motivations are, if she's good or bad, because she literally is like, well, I would save your daughter, but I have udon coming, and I don't want those noodles to get soggy. So, like, that's like a weird plot point that they make sad, like, oh, we don't want your noodles to get soggy, and it's more important than a girl's life or whatever. So, she just says, oh, like, can you help Denji? Like, can you go take care of this? So, and he's like, what about my noodles? And she's like, are you my pet or not? And so like once again establishing that
Yeah. She says you will answer with yes or woof.
wow.
I was like, okay.
And some people are getting real turned on right now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and also, like, is there a little bit of that at play?
Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot because she's like, yeah, you answer with yes or woof because I don't take no from dogs unless you want to get euthanized. I was specifically that line. I forgot. I was like, wow.
get put down.
All right.
Yep.
Guess I'm gonna have some sake udon.
Yeah.
Hey, little girl, where's the little girl?
Yeah. So he runs out into the woods and is yelling, and he sees a demon that looks like a slug or something, and the little girl's playing with it, and he's like, "Oh, it's like a nice devil," and the girl's even like protecting him, saying like, "No, let this devil go. He's nice to me, and we're friends, and he's protecting me from my dad who beats me." And this was another thing. I was like, "Wait, is she under the devil spell now, or like attached to it? Because she's free of it right now." But then in the next page, like as he's like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll like you can run away together, and it'll just be all three of us. We could all leave."
Yeah, he's having like that Poochie thing, like
yeah, he's like remembering his
Pochita.
Yeah, Poochie. Hi, I'm Poochie, the rocket dog. Oh man, that brings me back.
Yeah,
good Simpsons episode. Anyway, yeah. So Pochita, he's like remembering, he's having his fond memories of Pochita, and he's like, "Oh, we could all be together like that, and I could run away from this whole government thing that's going on." And then, as he's thinking that, he's like, "Yeah," and they're laughing, and then all of a sudden, veins start popping out of her face and shit.
This was such a like manga anime thing. Like, I didn't just ha. They're both laughing, ha 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 ha, and then it turns bad really quickly.
Yeah, and then as he's laughing, he's like ha ha ha, and then you see like her body raise up, and like her arms are attached to this giant. What is it? It's a leech monster or something, right? It's a leech devil, I believe. And so it's like
muscle demon.
A muscle demon. That's what it is. So it's like attached to her arms, and I don't know. Basically, it's now she's part of it, and her face is super fucked up. I thought she was really creepy the way that he drew her because it's like invading her face or something. It's like it's underneath her skin, like going through her muscles, or maybe it's making her muscles tense in weird ways or something. I don't know, but it thinks it's gonna kill him because it thinks it's a human or he's a human, but as it wraps itself around his arm like a python, he just pulls his cord with his mouth, and chainsaws come out of his hands, and it cuts the fuck out of this guy, and he just murders this devil, and saves the girl, brings it back, and is everybody's like, "Oh my god, thank you!" And he then proceeds to collapse into Miss Makima's arms, and I'll say chest because it's a manga, so whenever a man falls into a woman or a girl or whatever, it's always chest, face, or hand on the butt or whatever. So there's always that kind of shit. And so he falls into her, and basically it's because he's lost so much blood or whatever. So that's like where we get established. Oh, he's fainting because of his blood and all that. So since he can't stand up barely, she feeds him his noodles to himself, even though they're soggy. He's like, good noodles or whatever. And so he's trying to get to know her a little bit, and he's like, "So what kind of guys do you like?" And this is like the typical like high school boy thinking of like, I'm being sly. Yeah. But he's literally like, "So you got a boyfriend? Can I be your boyfriend?" like that's basically what he's saying in this questioning of her. And he's like, "What kind of guys do you like?" And she's like, "Someone I like is a boy named Denji." And he's like, "Oh my god!" Like. Yeah, it's literally just like in heaven when she says that, and he's like, "Me too, I like you too, Miss Makima," and like I don't know, he's just super dumb. Yeah. But yeah, like that's where I'm like, is she's trying to manipulate him? Obviously she is, but does she actually care about humans or life, or is she some sort of demon herself? Is that why she's heading this up? Because like we said, she could smell demons or whatever. So it's weird, but. Finally, they arrive at the Tokyo Devil Hunter HQ, and he gets introduced to everybody in the office. He meets his new coworker, one of his other colleagues. What's his name? Hayakawa, and he's a dude with a samurai sword, and he also, we find out later. I don't think you got exposed to this. It's in volume 2. He is kind of like the Yakuza guy. He has a bond with, like, he made a deal with a wolf demon, and in a fight he can come out and like.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's not in this one. He just doesn't like him, and this whole one, he's like, I don't like this Denji guy. I think we can't trust him. He's got, which is also like, that's weird that you just told me that, because he's like, he's got a demon.
Yeah, they're all like bonded with demons.
So I don't trust him.
If anything, this Denji didn't have a choice in it. He was already dead, and the demon or the devil dog went and made him, become alive again. Hayakawa, on the other hand, he made a fucking deal with a demon or a devil to, like get powers or whatever. So I'd say he's worse, personally. So, yeah, but basically, like, she assigns them to be, like, teammates or whatever, and they don't like each other. That's basically the main thing. They, like, get in a fight. This fight was kind of funny, I thought, where Hayakawa's like, oh, you think you can just mouth off to me? Like, I'm going to punch you. And he just, like, calls him over, and he punches him in the face, and he kicks him. And then, or I guess he knees him. And then Denji's like, my only move is like kick you in the nuts or whatever. And he literally just goes on like a nuts kicking, like, craze. Yeah. Like just
repeatedly.
Just begins. He kicks Hayakawa once, Hayakawa falls over. He recovers for a bit, and then he like gets back up eventually. And they're kind of talking like back and forth, kind of like trying to one up each other in conversation. And then he like Hayakawa elbows or shoulders Denji again, and then once again just kick right in the nuts. And he's like, that's really your only move, isn't it? Like, he's like, you only aim for the balls. So yeah, it's like he wins only because he kicks him in the balls. But that was like their bonding, I guess, like this fight or whatever. So now they don't like each other, but they're tasked to live with each other and like be on assignments together and whatnot. So they that's basically what the next couple pages crux, or whatever. Yeah, the crux of this chapter is just them and their relationship. When the next chapter starts, we see like how their living conditions are, because they have to live together, which is weird. I was like, no one, if you work with someone, you usually don't have to live with them. But apparently that's how it works. So he's living with Hayakawa, and Hayakawa is not a fan of his lifestyle, or like the way he does. He's like you're taking too long in the bath. You're sleeping on the toilet. Like, he has to like basically civilize him or something, because every time he eats, he's like making a mess and all this kind of stuff. He's eating all his bread. He's eating all his jam. He's finally I'll say that he finally achieved his goal of eating jam and bread together.
Yep.
So we're knocking off these goals as we go through this comic, and then making new ones. Like, now his new goal is, I want to touch breasts. Like, that's his
goal,
main goal right now. And also like impress Miss Makima. So like, it's kind of like, okay, he wants to like be her boyfriend or whatever. So that's his only motivation right now, is like doing a good job to impress her. They get a call about a fiend, and we find out a new kind of demon. This new demon is kind of like Denji, where it's like a human demon hybrid, but I guess it's like, how do they explain it? It's like it's a devil that's taken over a person's corpse. Yeah, that's a fiend, and they have different shaped heads. And I'm like, isn't that what happened to you? But I guess maybe because they had a contract before, like a blood contract.
A blood contract, yeah.
Denji doesn't have this happen the same way. Yeah, but and I guess they can't change back and forth like Denji. So that's the difference. Because he does have a demon head with the chainsaw, but maybe if it was all the time like that, that's what it would be. Right. So they break in, they find this, like, I don't know, bug face man eating a bird, and
super creepy.
Yeah, they just Denji cuts off his head, and up until this point, Hayakawa doesn't understand like what this kid is doing here. Like, he hasn't seen Denji transform into Chainsaw Man yet, so it's like, well, why is he here? Why is he so special? And in this, he thought he was going to see him like do his thing, and all he did was cut the fiend's head off with an axe or the hatchet. So like, he doesn't Hulk out or whatever. And Denji, you get to see he's kind of sweet or whatever, because he's like, oh, I didn't want to kill him because like he was just taking over. It's not his fault. I felt bad for him, and so then there's a weird tone in this book because you have this scene where he's like, I feel bad for these demons or whatever, or these devils, and then he looks over in the devil's apartment and he sees porn.
Yep, he sees
Porn
a
magazines
bunch of dirty magazines
on the ground, and he's like, oh, I'll just take these.
Yeah, no blood got on these, so I'll just go ahead and
Yeah, and he's like, all right, sexiness confirmed. He has to like look through them and make sure that they're not ones he's already seen or something, and and puts them under his shoulder and is like, well, let's go. And it's just like a weird, just like a weird thing to like, is that it's supposed to be endearing, or I guess it's supposed to be funny, but like, okay, so like,
I guess as a kid, again, you're in the kid mindset of like, oh, he got some.
I guess, so like my main thing where I get this from, or like this concept is from like Dragon Ball, right? Like Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
In that anime and the manga, like, you never have Goku do that, right? It's always Master Roshi or something, right?
Yeah, I was like Master Roshi. I think in like Dragon Ball, really early on, there's one time like,
but he's not doing it sexually though. He's just like a little boy. He
Yeah.
doesn't understand what that girl even exists. So he's
Yeah.
like, "Where's your thing? Like,
Yeah.
where's your wiener?" And like she's like, "I'm a girl." He's like, "What's that?" Like, so it's not a sexual thing.
thing, yeah.
He's always like an innocent, good guy or whatever. And other than fucking murdering people with his hands.
Yeah.
And so and those people are always bad. So to be fair, so Master Roshi is always given the
oh yeah,
I'm a
the
pervy
dirty
old man,
yeah.
which is, I mean, not acceptable nowadays anyway, I should say. But it's funny in that context because okay, you have a character who's consistent, which is Master Roshi, and Goku is consistent. But in nowadays, it seems like kind of like mash those into every character, like or a lot of the characters. Like there's, if there's going to be a pervy funny moment, we don't have enough characters to really have that. Like they could have had Hayakawa be the pervy guy, like, ooh, look at these magazines, because we don't know him well enough.
Yeah,
But so it's like it's kind of like they like, to me it loses me on the character because I'm like, wait, is the character? It would make sense more if he was only not pervy but like smitten with Miss Makima, and like only focusing on that, and then it's like, oh, okay, I get it, like.
but now we know. No, he just wants some boobs.
Any boobs, any
boobs,
tits. This actually comes back in later when another girl he meets at the agency is like, I'll give you a kiss, and he's like, oh, yes. Like at first he's like, I will be strong for Miss Makima, and then she's like, with my tongue, and he's like, okay, like and he just like rushes into harm's way.
Oh wow,
whatever. So it's kind of like, I get it. I guess they're trying to say like, oh, he's supposed to be like a teenage boy with hormones raging or whatever, but he doesn't. I just wish it was more consistent. Like I wish his heroicness would be more consistent and not just horniness or whatever.
Yeah. Not dependent upon his horniness.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that seems to be the thing. And this is where he says like, I just want to touch some boobs, and while he looks at the magazines. He looks like Smeagol in this scene where he's just like, my precious.
He does. He looks like he's bent over in this.
He's possibly jerking off at this moment because his back is to us. He's in like the hunched, Smeagol pose with the ring almost.
No, yeah.
But he's got the magazine in his hands.
He's not going that far.
He's not. But I'm saying he could be.
He could be.
If this guy was going extreme in this comic, he would be, and it would be like a dog porn or something.
Oh my god.
Just for Fire Punch's sake, it's the same writer. It could have been that.
It could have been that.
But like we said, he's just obsessed with touching boobs or whatever. So that's like his main motivation. They go back to
headquarters.
Headquarters. There you go. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And once again, he gets some like weird scenes where she's like, "Are you wanting, or do you want to eat?" Or what did she say? He's like, "Oh, are you hungry? Do you want any?" And he's like, "Melons." When he sees her, like, because we just talked about her tits or whatever, and then she's like, "What? Like fruit? You want fruit?" And he's like, "Oh, wait, what's going on?" Like, and so, then we find out there's a fiend that is, I guess, the new hotness on the block, the new devil that they've coerced,
brought into the group
or whatever. And her name is Power, and she is like the new buddy of this group, and she's what we call a fiend as well because she has horns coming out of her head, and she's got sharp teeth.
Yeah, but she also has boobs because he notices that right away.
Yeah, he's like, oh, some more ways. And the last chapter of this is titled "A Way to Touch Some Boobs." So like, this is really his motivation.
Yes.
Is so much as the title of the chapter. All he's trying to do is touch some boobs, and she's talking like we kind of get that she doesn't really want to be here like he is. Like she's not motivated by touching wieners or whatever. So
yeah, no,
so
she thirsts for blood.
She thirsts for blood. She's an actual like more demon than human, but she's kind of joining this team tentatively. I guess probably they're making her, and her motivation is weird. It's a weird motivation.
It's weird.
He actually tells her my motivation is I want to touch boobs, and so she's like, wait a second. You want to touch boobs? I have something I want, which is I want you to save my cat. We find out that she has a special cat named Yowie that was taken by a bat demon.
Mm-hmm. And we don't know any more than that at this point. It's just like it was taken. I had a strong bond with this cat. It was basically it was the only thing that I bonded with.
Yeah, that like they show her. I don't know if this is in this comic, but they show her like in the woods, like her backstory. They do a flashback where she used to just be a fiend, naked in the woods, eating cows, eating chickens, eating whatever, all blood of everything. And she came to this cat, and she's like, "Oh, skinny cat," and the cat was like shaking because it was cold in the rain, and she's like, "Oh, I'll fatten you up before I eat you." And then she gives it some milk, and it gets super fat. It's like a super obese cat.
Yeah.
And then, but then it's so cute. It endears itself to her. And she's like, "Oh, I can't kill you. Like, you're my Meowie." And it's like the only like niceness or anything that she's ever felt or had. So that's like her motivation. So they get a day pass after they do a mission where they kill a demon together.
A sea cucumber.
A sea cucumber demon. They're just really going out of their way to like.
So I just wanted to point out, they always like this like weird connection. Like and like some of the demons so far have been like there was like so this is a sea cucumber.
There was a tomato demon.
And then there was a tomato demon, but then there was like the bug.
I guess it's following the Pokemon. You know, there's plants, animals.
Yeah.
You know, there's a bunch of different organic types of beings. So, but yeah, so they did a good job on this mission where they defeated the sea cucumber demon, and we found out her powers like she can. I think she bleeds from her hand, and it can become any kind of weapon. Mm-hmm. So in this, it becomes a hammer, and she smashes the sea cucumber demon. But then they did such a good job that Miss Makima was like, "Oh, you're doing great. Like, why don't you take the day off?" Like they asked for like a couple days ago in the city or whatever. Yeah. So they get off, and Power takes Denji to a house, and that's the house where the Bat Devil was and where the cat is. So she's like, "If you can save my cat," they make a deal. "I will let you touch my boobs."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, yes."
Okay. I will go help. I will take this quest.
Yes. It's almost like Team America. And they're making fun of this where she's like, "Promise me you'll never die." And he's like, "I will never die.
I will never die."
Can we have sex now or whatever? Yeah, it's like ridiculous. But they go into this house, this abandoned house, and as he's about to walk in, he's getting a weird feeling from her. And he's like, "Wait, I think this is a double cross." And
sure enough.
Yeah, it was a double cross. She like makes a little hammer out of her blood and hits him in the head before he can retaliate with the hatchet and knocks him out. It turns out she made the Bat Demon a promise, like, if I bring you a human, because she thinks he's a human too. I don't think she's seen his chainsaw powers yet, because she did the killing of the sea cucumber. So she's like, "Let me bring you human to this bat, and then I'll get my cat back," because that was the deal she had with the Bat Demon. And so
I do say like that. I really do like these next couple pages with the Bat Demon. I think are the highest quality art in this one. Like it looks really cool.
Yeah, he did a good job with like the backgrounds and all that, and the Bat Demon looks pretty badass.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he actually eats Denji, and is like, "Ugh, his blood is disgusting." But it's still. Oh no, I'm sorry. He doesn't eat him. He actually just drinks his blood.
Yeah,
he squeezes him, probably crushes his body.
It made me think like he was like what's that called? Like when you
Ringing,
like when you squeeze wring a sponge,
yeah.
And it just like blood just like starts pouring out of it.
Yeah.
He's like, num num num. He's like, oh wait a minute, this is disgusting.
But it's still nourishing. So it grows his arm back because that was the thing. His arm got hurt. We find out like when she came to this house, I guess to get out of rain or something, and the bat demon was there because it had got his arm cut off and it was hurt. So that's where it was like, I'm going to kill you. And she's like, please don't. And she's like, I'm going to eat your cat if you don't bring a human to me or whatever. So it had been like a couple months, I think, or weeks at least, before she could bring back a human. And then, he squeezed out Denji, grew his arm back. Then she's like, hey, what about my cat? I brought you the human. And he's like, but it was bad tasting blood, so I'm going to eat your cat too. And he like eats Maui. And, then she freaks the fuck out. And before she could do anything, he grabs her and eats her too. And he's like, whatever. It's disgusting blood, but it'll do. And because she's a demon, so he only likes human blood, basically. And that's what he prefers. And so he's like, oh, well, I must rinse this gross taste out of my mouth with the blood of children. So then he goes to fly into the city. And as he does that, we see, guess what? Denji's not dead. We thought he was, but he wasn't. He was just passed out. He grabs the bat's foot as he's flying away, and now he's hanging on to the ankle.
Give me back my boobs.
Yeah. So he's mad that the thing ate. And when I say the bat monster ate Power and the cat, he just swallowed him whole like a duck. Yeah. Just kind of no chewing, just going down the gullet. So very much so, I was like, oh, she's probably still alive because there was no chewing or seeing of her head get bit off or anything. So she's probably alive. Anyway, he gets grabbed by the bat, and the bat is like, no, I'm going to eat you too. And then he's able to pull his cord, Denji is, and starts the chainsaw. And we get a nice big splash page of him cutting through like the arm or the hand of the bat monster. And we should say the bat monster is literally like 2 stories tall. So it was much bigger than him. Yeah. And he's cutting through it, and then that's the last. It just says to be continued.
I like that the bat monster has like pug eyes. They're like big, bulgy, and like looking like away. Like they're not like focused on anything.
No, it's like ah.
He's just like crazy. But again, I really like the creature design. When he's around the creatures, it's really freaking cool and like creepy. I like that. But
okay, so that's the end of it, John. What did you think? What would you give it?
Okay, so again, I just off of it, I was like, oh man, like this has to be his early work, because like I said, I thought that the writing on this one was a lot more immature and
simple
simple. Yeah, but I think going over it with you too is more like, okay, well I guess it's the character that he was going for, so that's why it was like that. Mm-hmm. So I mean,
you didn't get complex ideas like cannibalism or dog fucking in this one.
I guess, and you know, I have to say, like. So I went back to make sure, and I listened to some parts of the episode and what I gave Fire Punch, because I wanted to make sure that I graded this accordingly. And
what did I give Fire Punch? A 4, a 3? I think I gave it a 3. Yeah.
Yeah, and I gave Fire Punch a 4, and I knew that going into this that like I did like some of the ideas of Fire Punch, and I liked some of the plot points of it, and
You're a sick fuck, John.
No, I didn't like those plot points.
You like the dog fucking.
No. Oh, my God. And that is what it will forever be known for on this podcast. No, but...
Hey, we didn't write the book.
No.
All right? It's his fault we're talking about dog fucking.
But this one, I didn't really like... I didn't connect with any of the plot points on this one. I mean, yeah, who doesn't want to touch some boobs? But... in general,
correct.
Yeah, but in general, I felt like I looked at it from that, like you said, the lens of like, oh, as a teenager, yeah, I mean that's cool. I want to touch some boobs and like there's crazy chainsaw stuff, and like I don't know, like I just didn't connect with this one as much. This is the first manga I was like, like it was okay. Some of the art again was really good, especially all the creature designs, fantastic. I really did enjoy those. Yeah, and I think that's what's gonna save this from me not just being like worse when we've done on the podcast. But I'm going to give it a 3. Like this is my lowest one, unfortunately. And again, it's not that it wasn't good, because I am glad we read it and I enjoyed it, and I did want to know a little bit more as far as like
you enjoyed it more. I wouldn't say it was good.
I'm glad we read it. And
Yeah,
it's one of those things that's like, it's a bad movie thing too. Cause we watch a lot of bad horror movies in our movie nights.
Just movies in general.
And movies in general. And it's one of those things like, I'm glad we watched it and I'm glad we read this. And it's like, it was so weird and different from anything I've read.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't need to go back to it again like, I'm good.
Well, I read it twice for this podcast.
Yeah, that's dedication, sir. Y'all give this man credit. He puts out so much extra content. He works so much harder in this podcast than I do. And I will give him all the credit in the world because he read this one twice.
Thank you, John. Yeah, like, so it's weird. I felt like, so when Fire Punch I knew was going to be kind of like badass or whatever. That was what the description of it was, badass, right? Like the what's it called? The tagline on the back or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like what it's about. So I was like, oh, it's cool. It sounds like, this guy's on fire. He's gonna, I knew kind of, what to expect with that one. With Chainsaw Man, I just went from the cover and was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be like a big action, cool thing or whatever. And it wasn't that at all. Yes, there was action in it, but it was more like cutesy and innocent and more like Pokemon than, Berserk or whatever. So like, I thought it was gonna be more like Berserk style, and not like tone, or not like set in the past or anything like that, but just like tone wise or like more serious than it is. And I actually think if he made this book minus all the edge stuff, the edgy over the line stuff that's in Fire Punch, if he made this book with the same feel and tone of Fire Punch, so taking it seriously, like this is a man, and give him like a mission and more than touching boobs, and you know what I mean? Like, if you gave him like a thing, it could be pretty super epic. I think. I think there's a good world and story and everything in this, but it just didn't hit the mark at all for me. And I don't know, like every time he would bring up boobs and all that stuff, it just felt like a super tonal change from the main story of like I don't know, him fighting demons and being possessed, and this world is full of demons. And what about his dad? Why was he Yakuza?
What was the Yakuza story? Yeah,
that was just used as like a point to push the story at the beginning. Bring intrigue to the story at the beginning to this character, give him depth like based on just history that we're telling you. But we don't see any of that. We don't know what happened. Like if this is a world of demons and shit, why are there even Yakuza around other than maybe their role has changed in society? Now they're protectors of people, not gangsters who, you know what I mean? Like, so like things like that could be good.
I just a real quick point on the different roles in the society. The one thing I learned so this is all from Wikipedia too, mind you, but the main when this story takes place is this is an alternate universe where the Soviet Union is kind of the main power in the world now. And there is they're basically the world powers are trying to figure out how to use these devils for fighting capabilities and whatnot. But also
like the government would actually
like they would do. But also the Holocaust, the point at one point in this was that the Holocaust didn't happen either. So I was like, okay. How
does that fall into this?
I don't know, but it's specifically, again, Wikipedia. I'm going off of what was on there. Maybe someone put that in there because it is, they can't edit it. But in general, I was like, oh, that's a weird, interesting point. Why is that a point to make specifically?
And they were talking about the Jewish Holocaust.
The Jewish Holocaust,
okay.
Yes.
Because some people talk about other things that happened in the war as also being a Holocaust as well. So that's why I was specifying that. Okay, that's interesting. Because there was stuff in China that happened that was also during World War II.
During World War II, yeah.
So,
I mean, and the Soviet Union killed a fuck ton of their own people.
Yes.
So
specifically Ukrainians.
Yeah.
Which is poignant right now.
Yes. So
anyway.
Yeah.
So okay, that's good to know, the background that you read on Wikipedia and stuff. I don't feel like this book is serious enough to have that point. You know what I mean? Why would that be a point in this book?
This book is also award-winning, and I kind of want to know,
why?
Why awards? How much better does it get till people would be like, Bravo. Like,
Yeah. Slow claps.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, I have no interest in finding that out.
I don't
really,
actually,
other than just
sadly.
it's weird and I don't want to read it. You could just tell me in an email why this is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't know. I feel like it was a better or easier read than Fire Punch. Like I breezed through this like if it was like I said, it's like watching Fast and Furious or something. Like
Yeah.
I can watch it. Is it the best movie ever? No. Did I have fun? I wouldn't say I necessarily had fun, but it was easy to get through. It wasn't boring. There wasn't like long swaths of text on the page or anything that I had to read. It was not an Alan Moore comic or something, you know? So like, I don't know. I think it was better than Fire Punch because it didn't have all those edgelordy weird things like the dog fucking. That's the one that sticks out to me. You know, I'm just gonna keep saying it because what the fuck. But like this was at least more tame than that, and like I could see why as a teenager. Like I said, if I picked this up when I was 13, and I don't know if I said this before the podcast or not, but if I picked this up when I was 13, I could see me being like, oh my god, this is fucking fun and cool. And wild, and I also like boobs. You know what I mean? Like I could see fitting that in. But as at the age of 17, picking this up, I'd be like, oh, I've already read Berserk. Why the fuck would I care about this book? You know what I mean? Like it's just so. It would be so, like, specific to a certain age of me.
Yeah. That
like I couldn't like it past that point, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, and it blows my mind that people, and once again, we're not commenting on you as people or anything, or that even if we don't like it, you can like this book.
We all like I specifically, again, I'll throw it out there. I happen to enjoy the fourth Indiana Jones film, and Matt is still like, they haven't made that yet. That's coming out. That's the one.
Yeah, it's not out yet, John. So yeah, I mean, I don't even know what John is referencing there, but there's not even photos of it yet. But a fourth Indiana Jones. There's three. There's three Indiana Jones, John.
Crystal Skull, sir. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Not ringing a bell. Anyway, yeah, like I don't know. I feel like this is still better than the three I gave because I at least was able to read it, and I read it twice, and I actually enjoyed it more the second time I read it because I like saw the references to Pokemon and stuff. So I was like, okay, I get what he's doing, but I think he's not commenting on it. It's not like a spoof or something. It's like falling into that genre.
Yeah, I don't think so. Only because like it doesn't push hard enough on that for it to be a spoof.
Yeah. Well, you know what I feel like okay, where Dragon Ball still is badass to me because you know, I don't know why it's endearing to me, and like I like the drama of the fighting, right? Like all that stuff. Whereas like Tenchi Muyo, I used to watch that as well, and I don't think I would give a fuck about that anymore because it's literally about him like in a harem of teenage girls and him being like, what am I gonna do? And I'm like, I don't connect with that anymore. When I was a teenager, I was like, it would be awesome to be in a house with 7 girls who are like, oh, go out with me or whatever, you know, like, so like, yes, I understand the point of that and the time it would be good for me or whatever, like why I would like it, but I am past that now as a 35-year-old person. So like, yeah, this is much like that is I get why and when this would be popular, but is it popular with only those kids, or is it popular? Like if it sold as many millions of copies as you said, it has to touch more than, or like has to reach more than just the young adults or whatever. So that's my only thing. Is like it doesn't get to a certain level where it all comes together, and you're just like, I get it now. It was so much better with the like immature weird stuff at the beginning because at the end it's so fulfilling and meaningful, or I don't know. Stuff can do that. Like even Berserk, at the beginning, I heard people didn't like the arcs because it's so edgy and everything. It's like, oh, I'm an edgelord or whatever, kind of like Fire Punch. But then not as far as Fire Punch, but like there's that level to it. And then when you hit the Golden Age and you read that arc all the way through, it makes you go like, oh, it totally changes my perception of those first volumes, and now I understand why he's so edgy and all this shit. So like, it puts it in a different light. So that could happen to this. But I doubt it. I doubt that that's what he's going for, at least from what we've read of this writer. So with that, I'm going to give this one a 4. We're going to reverse it.
Reverse on that.
We're going to reverse it. I enjoyed this more than Fire Punch, but only a little bit more. I still wouldn't recommend this to someone unless you are a 12 to 15-year-old kid and you like boobies, whichever person likes that. So, yeah. And if you guys have any comments, questions, suggestions, you can email us at planestrains.and-comicbooks, all one word, @gmail.com.
Don't forget about our Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. We've got all our channels out there for that. We also have our coffee. That's ko-fi.com/planes, trains, and comic books. If you want to look at some of our extra tiers, we're putting out some extra content, especially if you like Matt's minis. Matt's doing a Hellraiser series that kind of like goes along with Hellblazer. Pardon me, I said Hellraiser. Wow, that's because we were talking about Hellraiser. Hellblazer series that is going alongside with Swamp Thing as he's reading. So it's pretty cool. Check it out. You can also donate if you so choose.
Yeah, just one-time donate. It's always
we
fun
appreciate
to support us. Yeah, we do appreciate it. We love all our patrons, or not patrons, I guess. Coffee supporters or whatever. So,
getting us a cup of coffee.
Speaking of coffee supporters, one of our favorite people in the world, Otaku Mike, he is on our blue and gold membership, which means that he gets to suggest a book to read that we will read when we can. But that's the book we're reading this week. We're gonna go with his suggestion of 5 Ghosts. It is an Image book. It's apparently some kind of crime thriller or something like that. So sounds really cool. I never heard of it actually. So good for you on suggesting something I never heard of in comics, which is cool. Apparently it came out in like 2013, which is why I never heard of it, because at that time I was starving in LA trying to make it in music and not reading comics at all because they're expensive. So I was totally out of comics at that time. So I somehow missed it, but we'll be reading 5 Ghosts Volume 1. And thank you again, Otaku Mike, for your support. And go check out the Otakuology podcast if you like to read manga or talk about manga or hear people talk about manga and anime and fandom in general. So with that being said, we'll see you guys on the next one.
On the next one.
Bye.